What's up, everyone? I'm Raina.
And I'm Phil.
And welcome back to 1 Minute Board Games. Today we are going to be doing another monthly recap for the month of May.
Yay!
So these are all the games that we played in the month of May. And as always, we're going to start with some statistics. So for the month of May, we played 42 games together.
Whoa.
32 of which were unique, and 10 of which were new to us. Yeah, so we played a lot of games, and this doesn't include games that I played on my own without Phil, and Phil played on his own without me. And I think we can agree it was a busy month for board games.
It was. We played a lot of games, so...
Yeah, kind of
nice.
Due to the fact that, everyone's vaccinated now, all of our other friends, so we met up with a few different friend groups, and so we played a lot more games, played a lot of party games this month, but yeah.
Yep.
Also, it was my birth month, so when it's your birth month, you kind of just tend to ignore our responsibilities and just play some board games.
Yep. That's her. So before we get started, we'd like to do a quick check-in from the previous month.
Yeah, so at the end of our monthly recap videos, we always like to end with sort of a challenge, a newer game and an older game that we want to get to the table for next month. So do you remember the newer game that you wanted to play for the month of May?
So mine was the one that was kind of cheating, but mine was Brass Birmingham. And we did get that to the table quite a few times, actually.
We got it to the table, and then we got it to the table, and then we got it to the table.
Yeah, so I think we played it 3 times, and I think she beat me the first 2 times, and then I got her once.
So it was so funny because I beat him the first time, and then he immediately asked for a rematch because we were kind of continuing off a previous game, and I beat him again, and then he finally learned and kicked my butt the second time. So that's character development for you.
We got him, boys.
So the newer game that I wanted to get to the table was Coffee Roaster, which is a single-player game about roasting coffee. And unfortunately, I did not get it to the table. To be honest, I think I kind of forgot about it.
Dang.
Yeah, because we store the game underneath our coffee table. We're kind of running out of space. And so if it's not in my face, if I don't see it, then I don't remember that we have it. So, I'm not taking responsibility for that. I'm saying that that was the reason that I didn't get it to the table.
Gotta take responsibility. All right, so what about the old game that you'd like to get?
So the older game that I wanted to try to get back to the table was Dune Imperium, which unfortunately did not happen.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe when we do these challenges for the next month, we should take them out and put them on a little stool or something.
I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, because to be honest, it's kind of like wishful thinking right now. We'll say it in the video, but me personally, I will not remember it until we have to check in the next month. I'm just like, I didn't do it.
Yeah, it's kind of like snacks. If it's out there and it's available, you kind of just grab it and eat it, right? Well, for board games, if you have it out, you might just lean in and go and play it.
That's a good analogy.
Right?
So what was the older game that you wanted to play?
So my game was Moonrakers. And I thought that we'd be able to get it to the table because we were going to have, our board game group back. But it ended up being a lot more people than I thought was going to happen. So we ended up not getting it to the table because we had, I think, 8 people.
Yeah, so. Moonrakers is a 5-player game, but then, our group that came over ended up being a lot more people, so couldn't get that one to the table, unfortunately.
But we'll get it soon, I hope. So without further ado, let's get into May. So what was a game that you wanted to get back to the table?
So a game that I want to get back to the table is Red Rising, which is a game that is published by Stonemaier Games. And it is a hand management game. You start off with a hand of, I believe, 6 cards, is it? 5 or 6 cards.
Yeah.
And it's very, you want to keep these cards in your hand because they have certain scoring conditions at the end, but you also kind of want to move the game along and score points in other ways on the map. And so when we played it, it was just us 2. And I feel like we were playing the game very differently.
Maybe. I mean, you mean in terms of what you were doing versus what I was doing? Yeah.
I feel like I was really trying to go for the end game scoring objectives on my cards. And so I was trying to cycle through cards and see if I could get the ones that I needed to come out. And then Phil was kind of going for the objectives on the board, which is going to end the game.
Yeah.
So I feel like I noticed that it was happening, but by the time the game was about to end, it was too late. And I was like, oh. Yeah. So I do want to try it with more people because I think it would be cool to kind of cycle through the cards more.
Yeah, the game is pretty simple. More so than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, which I feel like that's kind of the thing with Stonemaier games sometimes. That the gameplay itself is on the simpler side, but then the complexity comes out and all these different like individual cards.
Yeah, there's a lot of combos that can probably happen. But yeah, we were just kind of playing the board. Definitely interested in seeing what kind of,
combos and stuff.
Broken powers are out there.
Yeah, broken cards that just scored like 100 points.
Something like that, yeah.
All right, so what was the game that you want to get back to the table?
So my game that I wanted to get back was Enchanted Plumes.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Enchanted Plumes is kind of like this card game. It gives you very Arboretum vibes, where you have a hand of cards and you're trying to score points, making this almost reverse pyramid of
like a peacock.
Like a peacock.
I believe they're called plumes. Like the flowers that are behind the peacock here is what you're trying to build.
And it's interesting because all the top cards are going to be negative points, and then everything below that is positive points. So you usually want to get like really low cards. They range from about 0 to 6, I believe.
It depends because it depends how many players there are. So in a 2-player game, the numbers range from 0 to 6.
Yeah, and you want to get the super low cards on top, and then you just try to score everything on the bottom. And I think it's just a really nice little puzzle.
I did
it's
teach
just a deck of cards, so it's pretty cool.
It's cool because there's different colors of the feathers as well, and so your very top tier can be however many different colors you want it to be, but everything below it has to only consist of the colors from the previous tier, if that makes sense.
So if it's like red, white, and blue, the bottom tier can only be either red, white, and blue.
But
they
just keep on getting
it'll
smaller.
Get smaller and smaller, right? So you can only do red, blue, and then you can only do blue, and then you finish it off like that.
And you can also make multiple peacocks at the same time. And so it's tough because you have these cards, but you don't want to, in order to get new cards from the market, you have to trade them, kind of like Jaipur, but you don't want to give your opponent any cards that they need. And so it's a lot of having to make difficult decisions about what cards you want to play and give up. And yeah, I really enjoyed that game as well. It was a nice little puzzle, and I'm glad that you want to play it again. All right, so next we are going to talk about a game that surprised us. And do you want to go ahead and start us off?
Yes. So a game that surprised me was Shifting Stones. Shifting Stones is a really cool game in that there's a grid. I believe it's a 3x3 grid, so there's 9 tiles total. And you essentially have a hand of, I think, 4 or 5 cards. But these cards, each of the cards that you use is like an action, or so you can either move 2 tiles around, or you can flip over a tile. And the object of the game is to basically shift these stones in a way that can make the combination in your hand match it on the board. And that's what gets you points.
Because each card has a different like iteration of stones. So it'll be like, 3 black stones in the middle row. And so you have to think and use your cards. Okay, like, do I want to try to score this, or do I want to use this card to, rearrange other stones on the board? Yeah, that was a great one. I knew that you were going to pick that. After we were done playing, and he went right away like, oh, this is going to go in my monthly recap video.
Yeah, because I really enjoyed it. It's super simple. It is kind of luck dependent because it's, it's whatever you draw, right? So, but still, I found it very enjoyable. So check that out, Shifting Stones.
Yeah.
So what was your game?
So a game that surprised me is Lock Up, a Role Player's Tale. Yeah, so shout out to Thunderwork Games for sending that over to us because the expansion did come out on Kickstarter in May. And I was under the impression that it was a worker placement game, which it kind of is, but it's more so like worker bidding.
Yeah, it's like worker bidding.
Which is what really surprised me. I don't really like bidding games because I have no idea like when to bid and when not to bid. But I think the combination of the bidding and the worker placement made it super interesting for me and a really enjoyable experience.
And it's really cool because some of the bids that you can do are face down, so even the opponent doesn't know what you put, and you kind of have to use what is it, like a process of elimination to be able to figure out what is under them, because let's just say there's 8 total tiles. You can only have 3 of them face down, and so you can try to deduce which ones were face down and try to beat that.
And then once you bid on one location, you cannot bid on it again. And so it's a lot of strategy as to when you're going to bid on a location that you want to use, and also if you're going to put any face down, or do you want to save your face down ones for other turns. And yeah, it was a very enjoyable experience. And I just love everything in the role player, universe. If you've played role player before, it uses the same iconography, kind of the same scoring conditions. So it was a bit easier for us to get than I think it would have been if it was our first time playing something. But yeah, I would love to play that again, honestly. It was great.
And all the art is pretty much exactly the same as role player. So it's very familiar. And the production quality is amazing. I loved the little cubes, and then you have a tile holder and you slot something in so it looks like your little guys are in jail. It's so cool. It's a great game. I feel like it's super underrated. I think the base game came out a couple years ago, but I haven't heard anything about it. But like,
this is us telling you about it. Try it.
It's a really cool game. Check it out. Okay, let's talk about a game that we would cull from our collection.
Should I start us off?
Yep.
Okay, so this is always a difficult thing for me to do each month, but I feel like this month I actually had a game that I was thinking about, and that game is called Second Chance, which is a flip and write game. So this game came highly recommended by a few different people. I've been listening to different board game podcasts, and so I decided to try it out. And I do love roll and write games, flip and write games, but I feel like this one is a bit too simple for my taste.
Interesting.
Yeah, so basically you have a grid on your board, and each turn you flip over 2 different Tetris-like polyomino shapes, and you have to pick one of them to go ahead and draw on your board. And your goal is to last the longest out of everyone that you're playing with. So, you have to try to fit things in correctly. If the time comes where you can't fit either of the 2 pieces on your board, then you get a second chance. So just you gets another card from the deck, and then if you can't fit that last card in, then you're out. And maybe it's because I haven't played this with actual people yet.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was about to just say. Like, she's only played this solo, so I don't know really too much about it.
It has no player interaction though,
yeah,
which most roll and writes don't. But so I feel like it wouldn't be that much of a different experience if I was playing with other people. And so I just feel like I have other roll and writes in my collection that I would rather play. So yeah.
Okay.
And then what about you? What was the game that you would cull from our collection? Why do you look like you're about to get in trouble?
So, I don't think that's how it is. I was just trying to try to remember what my game was. But my game is Anchorman.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So it's a party game, and, I think I love the concept of it. But I think it's kind of like that Cards Against Humanity's effect where, once you've played it once, you're like, that was good. And then...
That was fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to play this again.
You probably don't want to play it anymore. But yeah, I think that was my experience with it. I think I enjoyed the concept, and we definitely had a lot of laughs when we first played it. But I think it's time to, kind of move on from the game. So
totally fair.
Yeah. Mine, Anchorman.
All right, so let's get into our top 3 games for the month, starting with number 3. And let's go ahead and take it off with you.
Yeah, so my number 3 is an oldie, but a goodie. It's Concordia.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Concordia, we only have the base game. We don't have Venus or I believe it's the Salsa expansion. Or Salsa. I think it's Salsa, even though it's like salt. Maybe Salsa is Latin. I don't know. Anyways, we played Concordia, and we played only the 2-player one. It was just me and her.
Yeah, I think it's one of the games where we haven't picked it up in a while because we weren't sure if it would play well at 2, because we've only played it at like 4 and 5 players before. But we just decided one night, let's take it out and try it. Yeah,
I just had an urge to want to play one of my Euro games. So we picked it out, and it was surprisingly really nice for 2 players. Not a lot of conflict, which is fine. But yeah, there was still plenty of decision making to do, and all the cards that you have to buy from the market. Definitely recommend for a 2-player game.
Yeah. And I think that game doesn't have that much player interaction or player conflict as it is, because you can still build even though somebody else has built there. But yeah, it was great. It was a really quick game at 2 players as well, so...
Yeah, and I also hear that people prefer Concordia over Catan. So if you're tired of Catan, check out Concordia.
Oh, they kind of do have some similarities.
Oh. You're just going around the map trying to build houses and get resources. Yeah, that's mine. Number 3, Concordia. So what was your number 3?
My number 3 was Dice Throne Adventures.
Ooh.
Woo!
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good
so if you are a frequent visitor here at this channel, you know that we love Dice Throne. But honestly, I've been feeling a little bit burnt out on it. I think it might be because we only have season 2. I think if we had season 1, there'd be a little bit more variety.
Mm-hmm.
But one of our friends came over, brought over Dice Throne Adventures, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's a campaign-based game. It gives me kind of like Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion vibes in the way that the campaign is laid out. And so I think it was just a really fresh way for me to experience Dice Throne, and I would love to buy it now. But I think it is out of stock, and so...
We gotta wait for the next shipment, which I believe is in later this year.
I think it's later this year, and I can wait, good things come to those who wait.
Plus, we still have that friend that can just bring it over and play.
Yeah.
But it does take Dice Throne and turns it from a dueling or a competitive game to a co-op game.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really
important.
Nice.
It's pretty cool to fight against the different monsters that they have. And it's a lot of dice chucking going on, and then you can get rewards, which kind of build and upgrade your deck, which is super cool.
I think that is my favorite part about Dice Thrones or Dice Throne Adventures, is that, when you're going through the dungeon, you actually get these cards, they range from common, uncommon,
oh yeah, rare,
epic, legendary, and you don't get to actually see these cards until you finish the scenario that you're doing, and you go to the shop, and then you can identify it, and it's just really cool to be able to flip over this new card and then you can slot it into your deck. It's probably my favorite part about it. I think I always just like dungeon crawling and loot, so that is
totally
why
fair.
I like it. Yeah. All right, so our number 2 game is,
or my number 2 game is Lisboa.
Lisboa. Nice.
Yeah. So Lisboa is a game designed by Vital Lacerda, and we got it to the table for the second time in May, and I think we could both agree that it went a lot smoother than
Definitely
the first game.
a lot smoother. We both knew what we were doing, and yeah, it just felt better.
Yeah, I think that's why. It felt a lot smoother. We both knew what we were doing. I think the first game that he played, he kind of was still figuring it out. And I was convinced for the longest that he did not like this game.
His brain was burning.
Yeah, but his brain was just on fire. And so now that your brain has cooled a bit down. And you beat me twice, huh?
I did. I beat her both times.
But whatever, I still love the game.
It's a cool game, yeah. As long as, you're not... constantly trying to figure out rules, it's a good experience.
Yeah, and I think we're ready to move on to our next Lacerda game. So
I agree. We got to try out On Mars. I've been wanting to play On Mars, so
maybe in June.
Maybe it's time.
All right. So what was your number 2 game?
My number 2 game was Dice Throne Adventures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
I really like loot.
Give me the loot.
I don't know. Something about getting loot and then identifying it and then putting it into your deck. I think it's super cool. One thing I don't like too much about Dice Throne Adventures is that, you get these loot cards. You don't get deck building options. You kind of just choose to put it into your deck, or you can sell it. And I think I would prefer it if I can, specify and change my deck to how I would want to play it.
Like if you got a common loot, you could choose from common cards to build into your deck.
Something like that. Or just remove cards that I don't want, Sometimes there is a card that I just don't want. And
yeah, it's cool because the loot system, or the way that they color it, is very reminiscent of World of Warcraft. Like the what's the green one? Is that uncommon? Uncommon, and then blue is for rare, and then purple is for epic.
Yep. And then orange is legendary.
Yeah,
it's the most common system that a lot of people use. So, yeah.
All right. So our number 1 game is
our number one.
I'm pretty sure it's the same. Okay. So we'll count down from 3, and after 1 we'll say it. And if we're wrong, then we're gonna.
Not gonna be the
it's
same.
not gonna be the same.
Ready?
This game didn't make your top 3.
3, 2, 1.
Brass
Kemet.
Birmingham. Brass didn't make your top 3.
I kind of forgot that Brass was a contender. So, whoops.
Would
Yeah,
it have
probably-
major top? I feel like it probably would have bumped. Well,
I
yes.
think it probably would have bumped either Concordia or Dice Throne. One of those. I mean, Concordia is number 3,
So I
it would
guess-
have to be Concordia. But at the same time, you know, I don't know.
feel
I
like
don't
you
know.
might have liked anyway. So yeah, Kemet is a game that I did not play in May, so which is why I forgot that was even on your
Yeah,
list.
yeah.
You had been waiting for it to come in. He went all
So we
in.
got the new Kemet Blood and Sand. So it's not old Kemet, and the production is amazing. And I've been wanting to get this to the table for a long time, and I've been waiting a year for it, and it finally came, and I was super excited to play it. It's dudes on a map, but it reminds me a lot of like StarCraft in that, you know, you're trying to battle each other and you're trying to get victory points. But the way it works is that each person gets a little pyramid that is kind of like a tier system. And you can upgrade your pyramid to get better and bigger units and stuff like that. And so it's like upgrading different tiers and then getting better units depending on which tier you're at, and then you go and battle each other, and it's just like StarCraft, but
In
you
the
know,
desert.
Egyptian themed in the desert. Yeah, so that's why I like it so much.
I have never played this game before, so I don't really know how it plays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll,
But I
we'll get
think
it. To the
we'll
table.
get it to the table this month
Yeah.
again. Yeah, I just happened to be busy every time he was able to bust it out in May. So
Yeah, we went all in on that, and we have this giant playmat that is pretty much the size of our table. But it's pretty great. I
love
it.
well, now that I spoiled my number one game for y'all, which is Brass Birmingham, I think we talked about it a little bit in the beginning of the video, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's just it's a great economic game. I might be a bit biased because I am pretty good at the game, you know. I feel like economic games kind of click in my head sometimes. I don't really know why. I haven't done that introspective, you know, reflection yet. But yeah, it's a really great game. I think I do want to play it with more people.
Yeah, I agree.
'Cause at this point, we've played 3 games just in the bottom half of the map because you're limited when a smaller game.
Yeah, there are ways to get to the top of the map, but it's a little troublesome.
Yeah, but I'm ready to start exploring and expanding, and also we got some iron clays. I'm ready to use those as well.
It should be coming in tomorrow too.
Yeah, my number 1 game of the month.
Nice.
Nice.
Very nice. So now that we're done with May, let's talk about a couple games that we'd like to play next month in June.
Yeah, so a newer game that I have not played that Phil has actually played before that I would like to play in June is Fort.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, Fort is a cute little deck building game published by Leader Games, and it's super cool because is it the cards that you play or the cards that you don't play are in your yard?
The cards that you don't play get put into the yard.
And your opponents can basically scalp them from you, and I think that concept is so cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's since you've played it before, you kind of have some background as to how it's played, and I think it's a realistic game to try to get to the table next month.
Yeah, the theme is that you're all little kids playing in I think it's like a playground.
Yeah, like a tree house, like a fort.
Well, I think you're trying to make
Oh,
a
you're trying to
fort.
build your fort.
Yeah, and you want to put, pizza and like toys into your fort, and you make friends by playing the cards, but the kids that you don't play with, they get put to the front yard, and then other players can play with them, So
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah. So what is a new game that you would like to play next month?
So a new game that I'd like to play is Robot Quest Arena. Yeah. So this is a new Kickstarter that's on right now.
Yeah.
I believe.
It's by Wise Wizard Games.
And it's like a deck builder, but it's kind of giving me, some adrenaline vibes, which I love that game. So it's basically Quake, but in a building arena style game.
Yes, I've actually played this game and he has not. And after I played it,
she was
I was
so
over
excited.
the moon. I came out of my room and I was like, I just played this game and it was so cool.
And I was like, are you serious? I want to play it now. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's super cool because you have there are 4 robots in the game, and normally you take control of one of them, but in a 2-player game you take control of 2. It's kind of like a rock'em sock'em robot type of thing, and so you build your deck. You decide what you want to invest in, whether it's weapons or like other ways to get energy. And then when your robot is defeated, it just gets taken out of the arena. Then you respawn the next game. And so it's super cool like that, kind of being strategic as to which robot you're going up against. And every time you do damage to a player, you take that health point as a victory point for yourself. Is cool.
So shout out to Wise Wizard Games.
Yeah.
Thanks for sending us.
We'll definitely play it because we got to play before I send it off to another person.
I'm definitely excited to try it. So how about an old game that you'd like to play in June?
So an old game, it was actually kind of hard for me to decide, but I kind of just went with my gut feeling. And it's also an oldie but a goodie. Kind of not that old. You know what? It's Calico. I would like to play Calico next month.
Yeah, she hasn't busted that out in a while.
You know what? I think I need to buy an insert for it. I think it's a bit... it takes some time to set up more than I would like it to. A lot of tiles and stuff. So I think I got to buy an insert so it makes it more appealing to set up. And I think I would like to play with you, with other people.
Okay.
Yeah. So what about...
I'm surprised because you still have quite a lot of scenarios that you need to complete.
Yeah, but I feel like that game I kind of want to play with other people. Maybe because I want to be better at it than I want to win.
All right. So let's see. My game, my
older game.
I guess. Well, my old roommate was the one that kind of reminded me of it. It is Terraforming Mars.
Oh.
Yeah. I played with him a long time ago, so it's a couple years ago, and he recently got it and played it, and he was just like, "Wow, this is an amazing game."
Talking about Chris?
Yeah.
Chris recently played it?
Yeah.
Oh. Nice.
And I was just like, wow, this is...
Who did he play it with? His
probably
coworkers? Us just having a conversation in front of you. We'll talk about it later.
So it reminded me of it, and it just made me kind of want to play it again.
I'm down. Yeah. It's a great game.
Cool game.
But I feel like sometimes we do get burnt out on it whenever we play it. It's like a once every couple months sort of thing because it can kind of drag on.
Yeah.
You know what?
I mean, I definitely, the way that I play it, it is very engine building, and I think that is kind of like, I wouldn't say it's the epitome, but it's very close to the epitome of engine building.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of cards that synergize with other cards, and then you just keep going, and you're just making money, and you're doing this and that, and scoring points.
He is incredibly good at Terraforming Mars, and I am incredibly bad at it. I think I have like 10 games under my belt. I have not won a single one because every single one I have played with this guy right here. And I think he has won every single game that we've played together.
I think the ones that we've played together, I've won every single time, but I think there might have been like a 4-player game that I lost.
I don't know. I just don't get that game, but I like playing it.
Yeah, it's a cool
Even
game.
when I play on Steam, I still lose to the computer.
Nice.
So that's good. In June, I'll kick your butt at Calico, and then you'll kick my butt at Terraforming Mars, and I think we can walk away from the table both feeling good about ourselves.
So we'd like to end our monthly recaps with a rapid fire round of all the games that we played that we didn't get to talk about
in the video.
You ready?
No.
All right, let's go. Rolling in America.
A fun little roll and write game that really stressed me out. Android Netrunner.
One of my all-time favorite asymmetric cyberpunk card games. Bloom.
A cute roll and write game that did not stress me out. Exceed Fighting System.
One of my all-time favorite fighting game card games. New York Zoo.
Animeeples and polyominoes in a zoo making babies.
Whoa.
Hive.
Abstract chest-like goodness. I love the feel of the tiles. Metro X.
A roll and write game, a flip and write game that stressed me out a little bit. Arkham Horror, the card game.
Extremely atmospheric and very thematic game. Bonanza.
Beans. Blank Slate.
This is a really easy party game. Nice. Cockroach Poker.
A great game to get back to the table. Haven't played that one in a while. War of the Ring.
Probably the best game ever created.
Wow.
Cross Clues.
Cross Clues. This is our first time playing the actual time version. It's like Codenames, but spicier. Air, Land, and Sea.
Surprisingly difficult, but really quick game. Great Western Trail.
Ooh, an oldie but a goodie. Jaipur.
We made a gameplay video. You should go check it out. We'll link right here. Monstrosity.
Drawing monsters. I'm a bit burnt out of this game right now, I'm not gonna lie. Merchants of Magic.
I love the theme of this. You're a shop and you sell things. Roll and write. Good. Mountain goats?
Little cute mountain goats. Roll through the ages.
15 to 30 minute roll and write Civ game. Railroad Ink.
Railroad Ink actually stressed me out more than I remembered it. All right, silver and gold.
Finding treasure using Tetris pieces. Quick and fun. Roll and flip and write. Scrabble.
A classic. I don't really like this game. Telestrations.
If you like seeing funny drawings, go get it. Yahtzee.
It was a lot longer than I remember it being, but maybe because we played with 5 people. Tiny towns.
Super cute little towns and everyone gets to play together at the same time.
And viticulture.
Solid worker placement game. Very swinging cards though.
Yeah.
And that was our rapid fire round.
Yeah, let us know how your board gaming went for the month of May in the comments down below.
And we'll see you in the next month.
Bye.
Bye.